Hello everybody, welcome to episode 4 of my tutorial series for Factorio. I'm Icon, and this episode will be about the basics of modding. We're going to install some quality of life mods, and I'm going to show you how that's done. And after that, we're going to optimize the base where we left it off in the last episode. We're going to make everything bigger, and we're going to make everything more effective, and we're going to work ourselves today towards the green science packs and towards a real base, so to say. Now, let's get started with the modding thing. For many people, mods are the lifeblood of this game, so you can change up pretty much everything. We're going to change nothing about the game except of adding in some features which make the life for us easier. So you click on in mods, and then you get this list. In my case, there's already a lot installed. In your case, this list will be mostly empty. You'll be most likely only finding the base mod there, which is basically Factorio, as you know it. And here, all these other things are the mods that are currently installed, and as you see here, one of them is checkmarked, and that's one of the mods that is installed. Right now, Afraid of the Dark basically just disables the day and night cycle. For the sake of readability and clarity of this video, I installed that right from the get-go. There are 3 mods we're going to use in this series, and I'm going to show you how you find them and install them now. So first thing we're going to use is the Bottleneck Mod. You're just got to type that in here. It was from the last attempt of recording this video. Already typed in there, and there's the Bottleneck Mod. So you just click in that. Here you see the dependencies. If there are any mods necessary to run that mod, you can find them here. Some mods need other mods to work on each other, and that's where things can get a little bit complicated, but the mods I'm featuring in for this run are very simple and very useful. The Bottleneck Mod is a function that I'm going to showcase in a minute, and you just click on the install button here. After the mod has been installed, it's automatically also activated in your run. In my situation, of course not, because it's already installed. I'm going over on here and check mark that thing to activate it. The other 2 mods that I want to use for this run are the where is it? The resource calculator here, max rate calculator. That's the one mod that I love to use, and you find it by just typing in max rate calculator. And the other thing we're going to use later in the series is Hellmod. Hellmod is a assistant for planning your base, and it's my preferred planning tool that I love to use. There are other tools that you can use, but I'm not going to rely too heavily on this thing in this series. I'm only going to use it to show you how I calculated a few things and how things work together. It's really good for visualizing things, believe me. So once these things are all done, you just press the confirm button, and then your game starts anew, and you get the game started with all the mods up and running. So mods need to be updated from time to time, but I strongly suggest you to only update the mod if you really have to. You can go here, and then you just update the selected mods, and then you get the newest version of these. But seriously, most people recommend this only to be done if necessary, because you never know if your current playthrough of the modded content that you have will be compatible with the updates. But don't worry too much if you're only going for quality of life mods. These you can update anytime. Okay, so enough about that. Let's get back into the base, and I'll show you the differences. So the Bottleneck mod has now enabled these green lights here. As you see here, the machines, when they work, they have that green light. When they don't work, they have an orange light. If they can't work, they have a red light on them. And this is a very simple but extremely powerful way of keeping your base under control. Here you see, for example, these guys are showing that they are red. The red means that they are undersupplied with materials, and they're waiting for materials to work with. Yellow means that most of the time they can't output more. So that's Bottleneck. I love that mod, and it's so versatile in many ways. And the other thing we've installed was the max rate calculator. You have this here as the blue question mark. You can also, if you don't find it here, press those three buttons there, and then you can just enable it here. These are all optional things that you can put into your hotbar here, and you can enable or disable them to your liking. This is customizable, as you see here. So, how does the max rate calculator work? It's a very simple and lovely tool that has become one of my constant companions on my journeys through Factorio. So you just go on there, and now I want to know, how good do these machines work with each other? You know, it's a really fundamental question to know, do I produce enough copper ore or something like that? So I drag and drop a rectangle over these, and now we see all these things. It's a little bit confusing if you look at it at the items per number. We're going to look at it on the items per second. So here we go. So we see here now, on this side, we see the inputs. That means that is what the machines that I just highlighted want to consume. So they want to consume 1.875 units of copper ore. That's the consumption of these 6 furnaces added together. And here you see the outputs. We see that we have highlighted machines that manage to output 2 units of copper per second. That's half a unit of copper per machine. And here you see the net rate. That means we have a net surplus of 0.125 units of copper ore. That means we're producing more ore than these machines actually need. Down here, you also see how many copper plates per second we output. So we have a whopping amount of 1.875 copper plates per second on this little array. And this is really a very, very valuable tool, because I'll show you that really easy way how to use this. So we're going to, now let's go there, let's go here. So let's just do this as an example here to showcase what I'm talking about. Let's just expand that by pressing Q to copy these machines. And now we got it running again. Inserters are working. And after a moment, we have that icon alive. And now let's do the same thing one more time. And now you can see we have a deficiency of 0.5 units of copper. By now we know that one of these mining machines is satisfying that. And now let's do this one more time. And this way, we can easily find out if we have enough source material for the refining process. And this tool works for pretty much every recipe that you can go for in this game. And that's why I really, really, really love it. We're going to explore the other usages of this tool on the course of this tutorial. So I don't want to bloat it information-wise here too hard. So that's how we're optimizing our production here. So right now we're producing 2.5 copper plates per second. We're now at the point where we can really think about amping up in larger scales, because, you know, we got all the necessary materials to set up more and more machines to do our bidding. Since I have by now automated the research, we're just going to select some projects that will get done by the time. So it's a small scale operation, but it's certainly working out. So we don't have any copper, we don't have any extra iron plates here. That's a shame. So let's check out our max rate calculator. And as you see here, we have a nice surplus of iron ore. That means we can produce a lot more than we are right now. So we're going to set up some more smelters, and let's expand that a bit. I'm going on over here. And let's redo that. So now we have come to the point where we really need to expand our business in a larger scale, because we're certainly not going to be happy with these numbers for a longer period of time. What I'm setting up here right now will be also the replacement for this. I intend to rip out these dudes here in a couple of minutes. And we want to redistribute these things, but for now, let's do this like that. Let's do the check one more time. and now you see we're out of iron. So here's one problem though with the method that I have set up here. If I would be putting down a miner on this side, as you see here, it would be trying to output on the side where we want to have our coal. Bad. What can we do about that? This is easily changeable and easily fixable, and we're going to do this here today. So first things first, we're going to rip out this part here, and we're going to replace it. That's one thing that I wanted to showcase in this episode right away, that one premier features about this game is that everything can be rebuilt and remade better. If you ever feel like your design is making you unhappy, don't fret, just make a new one. So what we're going to do now. So we need more iron, we know that. So let's set up more mining machines here on this side of the belt. So what's happening now is, for us, quite favorable. We're filling up this thing with iron, but now we don't have the opportunity anymore to put coal on this thing, because, you know, we can clearly see that this won't be working out for us in a long, like it did before. We can't plug in the coal like we did before. So what we're going to do here now is, first off, we're going to free up some room here. And now we're going to get ourselves the coal over here. And now we're going to lead the iron over here. So this is a little bit of belt black magic, so to say. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do this like that. So we need 2 straight pieces of belt. And this way, if you connect them like that, and if we keep going like that, what's going to happen if we put the curve on this and on that is same thing we did before. Let's clear this out. But this little trick here allows you to control what's going to be on which side of the belt. And this way we get the entire iron ore there. And the biggest benefit of that for us now is that we can set up more and more mining machines without running into any trouble there. So that's the point. So now we're going to set up more of these guys. And from here on, we're going to expand in numbers. But where are the limits of that? You know, no growth is limitless, especially not in this game. And we gotta pay attention to things like capacities. So we're going to set up a machinery here that will use up the entire iron ore that's flowing on this belt. That's the goal for this machinery, to set up something which will consume the entirety of the iron ore here. So let's first get this up and running, because I want to have a surplus production of iron plates happening here in the background. And I'm holding down F while running down the belt here. And I'm also going to grab here some copper plates. Exactly the same thing, holding down F while running there. And let's empty our pockets. Holding down left control and the left mouse button and just running alongside these dudes empties your pockets quite decently. And now, let's check it on out. So we got this like there. We still got a surplus, but we're now we're now consuming, I should rather say, a total amount of 3.125 iron ore. If you check out your transport belts, they have that mark, transport belt. Belt speed 15 items per second. This is the maximum amount of items that can be transported on one red belt. So this is your maximum production. You will be researching later down the road more effective belts, like the next one that we can produce is already 30 items per second. But for now, this is our limit. That means one of these belts can transport a maximum amount of 15 iron ore per second, but only if we use this belt like that. Only if we use both sides of the belt, we will have the entire 15 units of capacity. The way we do it here, we only use 50% of the belt, because we only use the upper half of the belt for transporting iron ore. That means we're already down to a number of 7.5 iron ore per second that we can transport on this belt. And, you know, things might be already coming together for you. When we set this up like that, we will reach the point at which this system will consume 7.5 units of iron ore per second. And that's the point where we have reached the maximum capacity of the system. If we keep adding in furnaces after that, what will happen is the last furnaces there will never get any iron ore, because all of the iron ore will be already consumed by the other guys beforehand. So now we can just go for that like this, and now we see we're at a deficit one more time, and now you can just juggle that up and back and forth until you got everything running. There are, for experienced players, these are numbers that experienced players are well aware of. You know, there is a certain amount of things you need there, so don't mind me doing what I'm doing here. This is Helmoth, say hi. I'm just using this to visualize the whole thing here right now. So, here. What you see here is a tiny equation about how things work. I'm going to guide you through the Hell mod in a later episode, or you just check out the tutorial I made for Hell mod. So what's important here is to see we're going to need 24 furnaces to consume 7.5 iron ore. That's what people call a ratio. So right now we have 12 furnaces already going, so we need to duplicate that thing one more time. So let's set up the amount of machines here, and since we now know that we have already 50% of what we're supposed to produce, it would be really nice if we don't need to think that much, wouldn't it? So let's press Ctrl C, and now your cursor transforms into a copy tool. We drag and drop over this. Make sure that only the cells are highlighted that you want to highlight, exactly those you want to copy, because that's what we're going to do. And now we're just going to set this up like that and place this down like that. Now, we have a ghost of these things now sitting there, and this makes it a lot easier to place things down, because you can use this basically as a mold where that you can work off there. The downside there is you still have to do everything manually. If you don't want to have any of these placeholders here, you can just right click them to make them disappear. But I do like to do this so I can turn my brain off and just start building. There are, of course, later down the road in the game, methods to automate these things. Construction robots they are called. But at the beginning of the game, you are supposed to build all these things manually. This is the famous and dreaded hand building phase. So there are several mods that implement a earlier version of bots, and I wanted to not introduce it as of yet, because, you know, we want to do everything as natural as possible here early on. Now let's do this like that. Because like I mentioned in the early phase of this series, I don't want to overbloat things. Here I can't just hold down the left mouse button while running across. So we got this now set up and running. Let's use our max rate calculator one more time. Here we go. So now we see we have an input of 7.5. We have put up enough machines to consume that much. But we have a deficiency of 3.5 units of iron ore per second. That's why I love using this tool so much, because, you know, it is really, really easy to get things done with that. So, why are you not working, dear? Ah. Here, this inserter was stuck in motion. Sometimes inserters get stuck in motion and you need to pick them up and replace them. Otherwise, they won't work. And without the Bottleneck mod, I probably wouldn't have even noticed this little problem there. I only noticed it because I saw that one of these furnaces had a little red light on it. I was wondering why. Because Setup-wise, it was perfect. So, we now know that we need 3.5 units of iron or more. So, let's place down 7 more miners. So, that's 3. I'm going here around the corner. I don't want to get into this area here because this is bad news. So, that's been 3, that's 6, and that's 7. So we're just going to slide along here, and I've left one gap in between these guys. You always can do that because they have this AoE around them. As you see here, they will mine out this this gap that I left out, and I really like to use this to power up these dudes. I always feel like that's one of the easiest ways of getting the job done. So when we use our tool one more time, we see the equation is perfect, and we have now a steady income of 7.5 iron plates per second. That's pretty decent. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get up on over here and fix that, because right now these machines aren't working anymore, which is a shame. We need them. So we're going to pick up our iron plates there, and let's do another thing that I like to do. So because I dislike the fact that we're only using half a belt here, I don't like that visually too much, I'm inserting one splitter here. I'm just going to get the second end leading back onto the belt. So it's just a visual thing. We're still only producing enough to fill half the belt, but I feel like it's still a lot more trustworthy to say that these things are full. You can also leave them half, no problem with that. I just wanted to showcase that so you can see the many different uses of splitters. So, we got this down now, and that's one good point to be at. Of course, we need to do this down at the copper as well, because, you know, we're going to need more stuff of that as well. But now, if we check out these machines, as you can see here, we have a readout here, just like with the other machines. These two guys here want to have an input of 1 iron gear wheel per second and 3 iron plates per second. So, since we're producing 7.5, these guys can continuously work without emptying this belt. Beautiful, isn't it? So we're going to lead this belt down here as well. And now all the machineries are working yet once more. So, the next thing that we might want to whip up is green science. As you see here, green science packs need transport belts to be produced and inserters. So this is one of the more advanced products. We're going to put into completed products into an assembler and create a science pack out of that. We've already set up shop with these transport belts, so that's the smallest of our issues. We can now select either to build that a second time or use the production here. And let's check out how inserters work. Inserters need iron plates, iron gear wheels, and a new item that we haven't produced yet, the electronic circuit. So electronic circuits are made out of iron plates and copper cables. So since we haven't put up much use for our copper plates yet, this is a wonderful opportunity to do more with these. So I'm going to set up shop here, and we're going to do this like that. By the way, in case you are wondering already, the amount of inserters necessary per machine is strongly depending on the recipe and the throughput of these recipes. For now, we're just going to pretend like there's nothing to worry about that, but that's not entirely true. We'll get to that in another episode. I just wanted to mention it along the side. I'm aware of that issue. I've just chosen to ignore it for a while. So we're going to pick up our iron plates here, and I want them down here to make electronic circuits out of that. So I go on here and I hold the left mouse button and keep it hold, and that happened. This only happens if you have underground belts in your inventory. If not, the game won't automatically put these down. But if you have these things in your inventory, you can just let the game do the stuff. So we're now perfectly able to get the ball rolling there. So let's use this little corner here. Steel processing has been researched. We're going to get into those things later. Let's handcraft ourselves a couple of assemblers. And as you see here, I'm still hand producing a lot of these machines, and this is quite cumbersome. We're going to pick up a couple of these items here to have them available for ourselves, because I'd really like to do that. And now we're going to set up our first electronic circuit machine here. This will make things a lot faster in terms of crafting. We need power for these, of course. And now we're going to drop these on another belt, where we can transport them other way, to another place there. So we got the electronic circuit we need, and we still got to produce the iron gear wheel. I'm going to set it up here. Set up iron gear wheels here, since we got access to the iron plates there already. And now we can set up a third assembler. Pressing Q to copy that. And we're going to produce inserters here. Boom, just like that. Whoopsie, that won't work out, even if it's looking neat. And of course, this little machine here is going to need the inserters as well, the electronic circuits. So this thing is now producing, but as you see here, we've created ourselves a little situation here where things are a bit narrow and all. That's what we call a spaghetti situation. But don't you worry, there's different things we can do. So we're going to put it down like there. We're going to put down a piece of belt here. And a red inserter. Let's see. We've forgotten to connect this thing with iron plates. You see? Do this here. And as you see here, we can output these things there. Usually there are always ways and means to get the job done. You also could have just put down, for example, an underground belt here to there. And then you can just drop down the items into this direction. There are many ways in this game to resolve these issues, and this is only one that I wanted to showcase because it's quite simple. And be aware, though, of things like these. If you cross belts like that, they will infect each other. So be careful with your spaghetti. If ever something like that happens, like I said, pick it back up and repeat one more time. No biggie there. So let's go down like that. Produce ourselves 2 more assemblers. And now we're going to make ourselves new transport belts, because I don't want to pick up the transport belts from the other side, because I mean to use them for other things. So here goes the iron gear wheel. And here goes the transport belt. Since we have already a mass production of inserters up and running here, I stand here and press F to pick up a couple of things for myself. Never hurts to do that. So now we're going to do one fancy thing here. I'm going to use a red inserter now to output it there on the far side. Pick up these guys. And once we have these guys running along like this, I can now just connect them together. And now we have everything we need on one belt to get the ball rolling there. So right now we're lacking a bit of copper again. So we're only one assembling machine away of getting the job done. Let's make 2 of them. After all, we have 2 machines for the red bottles as well. So let's put this up like that. And yet again, holding down Shift, right click, Shift, left click, and you can copy these recipes. Wonderful power move to make things a little bit easier. So let's wire them up. And we got ourselves our first green science bottles produced. So we're going to pipe them into the system just like that. And here we go. Now they will hit the road here, and there's still that piece of belt there free. And now we got a cute, tiny little starter base fulfilling our needs just for our beginning, for beginning out. So now we're capable of researching all the things that need both of these tech packs, and that's going to be where we're headed in the next couple of episodes. Of course, there's much more necessary, and the size of what I got here is too small. You will need more than just 2 laboratories and the like. But I wanted to showcase in this episode how stuff like that works, how a couple of belt tricks work, and most importantly, I wanted to showcase that there are things like ratios in this game. And here we have run dry miners. That happens sometimes. Let's put up one there. And whenever that happens, you need to replace them, of course, until you have the same thing. And there are, of course, more finesses to that, but we'll see about these things in the later episodes. So between this and the next episode, I will set up a identical system like this one here for the copper, because we're going to need it. And in the next episode, we're going to finish our starter base with a starter mall. If you haven't heard of it yet, a mall is what experienced players like to call the place where you produce your assemblers, your belts, your inserters, your belts, your assemblers, pretty much all the machines, so you don't have to handcraft as much as I do here. So that's going to be what's on the list for the next episode. So thanks so much for watching. I'm down for more questions. Drop your comments down below. Leave me your thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys next time when we're going to dive deeper into these things. Have a good one, and bye-bye.